Hi everyone, it's Karen from Karen's Quilts, Crows, and Cardinals blog and Redbird Quilt Co. I'm so happy you joined me today. We're here today and we're going to talk about a couple of different things in a couple of short clips. But right now we're getting ready to pin baste our Lose Balloons growth chart for our 2016 free motion quilt along. What I have available right now are a package of these Dritz Quilting, that's the brand, Dritz Quilting, and they're just curved safety pins. So this is what I use to do most of my pin basting. If you can see, let's see, and I'm sure you can't see that, but I'll bring it in closer in a minute. The pins actually have a slight curve in them. That allows you, it makes it a little bit easier to close the pins to get them scooped under all three layers of your fabric. So they really come in handy. I have various sizes of them. I have the smaller size and I have the larger size. The small is about an inch, it looks like, and the larger size maybe an inch and a half. They do come in handy though for your quilting and for your pin basting. Now I probably mentioned it before, but I like to pin baste personally because I'm a little sensitive to chemicals and to aerosols and things like that, so I enjoy the pin basting process. It becomes part of my ritual. I think enjoying the process has a huge amount to do with how successful you are as a free motion quilter. So I'll stop with that, but so let me just show you. I just want to show you a little bit of the movement, and then I'm going to show you in still pictures a lot of the steps. I'm going to outline the steps in still pictures, but in this video I just want to show you a little bit of my, share some of my thought process and also show you the movement that I do. So let me just start. I've already layered, I've taped my backing down. I have 2 layers of batting already just smoothed down. I do not tape or secure them down. I smooth them down, and we talk about that in a different video. And now I've laid the quilt top on top of the 2 layers of batting in the backing, and I've smoothed it. I've just smoothed it with my hands like this to get it taut, not necessarily taut, but just so it's without puckers. So that is the first thing that you want to do. And then what you're going to do is you're going to start normally right smack in the middle of your panel with a pin. You're going to put your pin in, go through all layers, and then bring it up. And you can actually progress like that, smoothing as you go and putting another pin in. Now, something to point out here is that I like to pin in the middle of subject areas because you're not necessarily going to be quilting there right away, and it secures that subject area. The pin isn't in your way. You don't have to move it later until you get to quilting the center of this item. So I'm going to go ahead and put a pin here. Make sure you get through all 3 layers. Try not to pull too much on your fabric, but I'm clipping those pins in. Let me do a couple of others. Sometimes I tend to use the smaller pins just so that there's less in your way when you're quilting. So I'm going to go ahead and do another one right here in the middle of this cloud. Now look at my general rule of thumb for pin basting is that I'm going to pin baste about a fist width apart. So I always start in the middle. I always smooth as I go. As you get 5 or 10 pins in here, you're going to start getting a few puckers here and there because you're pulling on the fabric as you're putting the pin in. So smooth as you go, always pressing from the center out. Sometimes I clip my pins closed, but I just wanted to show you this fun little tool I've had for years and years. It's called a quick clip. By Paula Jean Creations in Sacramento, California, and I think I picked it up at just any quilting store. It's a great little tool if you have fingernails that you worry about, which you can see that I don't. But it's still a great little tool to save your hands. So consider getting one of these little guys. I think they're only a few dollars, but they're just worth their weight in gold. If you don't have one of these and you want to try this method, if you have a small crochet needle, that's something else that I've used recently because I couldn't find this little devil. So what you do is you just stick the quick clip underneath and pull up that bottom part of the pin with the quick clip and then secure it into place. So it's a two-hand operation, but it works really well. So that's something to consider, a nice little tool. It's not a necessity because your fingers will always do the job, but it will save your fingers. You can also see that I've tossed a few pins right on my top. These are pins, they're already open. I always leave my pins open. I never close them. This little Dritz container that they come in works perfectly for that. So I leave them open in here. I secure them with a rubber band on the outside, and then when I get ready to quilt, I come over, I grab a few, I dump them on my top, and then I just kind of move them around. And just make sure that you don't leave it any, kind of floating around. They're going to fall on the floor. So anyhow, this is the process. I just keep going like this. I smooth, and I work my way kind of around a circular pattern toward the sides and on all directions. So this is what I do. I smooth with my hand. I choose an area to pin. I put my pin in. I may or may not close it right away. In this case, I'm going to just keep moving. So I'll decide if I want to put it inside of something or if I want to go to the outside of something. Think about for the future quilting that you don't necessarily want something right in the way from when you're going to outline your subject areas. So Lou is sitting here, he's thinking, oh, don't pin me in the face, but I'm going to do it anyway because I don't want it in the way of when I quilt around here. I'm going to quilt the perimeter of my subject area, and I'm also going to be, it might be in the way if it's out here. But so just choose a spot and put your pin in, and he'll forgive us. We'll pull it out later and make them disappear. So this is the process. I smooth, and you want to make sure that you're not putting things, stretching things out of perspective, out of square. You want to still leave them square, but the objective is to have the fabric taut, all the little lines, creases from where the fabric was folded, how it was processed, that is all going to come out in quilting. So don't stress over that too much. Just get it pressed well before you start, and worry about letting the quilting take out those little creases. So I'm just going to continue. About a fist width apart, putting my basting pins in, smoothing, pushing outward as I go, and then securing my pins. I use my little quick clip, come back through, close them all. It just takes a second. It saves your fingernails. And that's the process. I'm going to go all the way around. I have a finished piece to show you in a separate video. And when we talk about that, we're going to talk a little bit about my thought process as I do this. And hopefully this will help you, because as I do this pinning, I'm also looking at all the beautiful designs and trying to decide how to quilt it. How would I quilt that particular design? And we're going to talk about that in a completely separate video. So for now, I'm going to sign off, and stay tuned to the blog post, because that'll point you to all the little clips that you're going to need to watch for part 2, which is basting. And thanks so much for stopping by. I'm really excited for us to get started. Let's get this work out of the way. Even though it's part of the process, we're still anxious to sit down at our machine and get going. So I'll talk to you soon.